Here we go again with Oklahoma. We've got Representative John Bennett now. He's a former United States Marine Corps reservist. He is a state representative there. He's, of course, a Republican, and he's, of course, against Muslims. Now, not just Muslim extremists, all Muslims. He's going to explain. He put up a Facebook post saying, Islam and Muslim are one and the same. They are adjectives describing their religion. Islam is the religion, Muslim is the person that follows Islam. So far, that's 100% correct. If someone claims to be Muslim, they subscribe to Islam, the Quran. The Quran clearly states that non-Muslims should be killed. Arab is the ethnicity, not Muslim or Islam. Be wary of the individuals who claim to be Muslim American. Be especially wary if you're a Christian. Now, what's interesting about that is the things that are correct in there for no reason. Like, he's like, and then between A and C, we have the letter B. And because of that, be wary of anyone that starts with the letter B in their name at all. So if you see Bob, say wrong again, Bob. Why? Because it is between A and C. So he's like, okay, if you're Muslim, that means you follow Islam, correct? Doesn't necessarily mean you're an Arab, and not all Arabs are Muslims. And by the way, the Muslims are dangerous, and watch out for them. Okay, so the premise is, no, it's because the Quran says it. So if the Quran says it in any place, then everyone in that religion is guilty. That's very interesting. Hold that thought. Okay. Now, of course, the Council on American Islamic Relations, otherwise known as CARE, which is the largest Muslim American group, was a little aggrieved about this, and they reached out to him and said, come on, that's ridiculous. There's millions of Muslim Americans. They're law-abiding, and to say that they're all dangerous and want to kill Christians is insane, right? And so, of course, we're going to have an apology. Wrong! We're not going to have an apology. John Bennett then says on his Facebook account, so the Council on American Islamic Relations is reading my Facebook and demanding an apology for what I said. Well, since you're monitoring my Facebook, I will not apologize to you. He capitalized will not. I know who you are and what you represent, and I'm watching you closely. Well, then it sounds like you're the creeper. Okay. They're a civil rights group. But you see, in John Bennett's mind, all Muslims are guilty, and you got to watch all of them closely. All millions of them here in the country who are citizens just like John Bennett, who have all the exact rights that John Bennett does, who are just as American as John Bennett is. But John Bennett says, no, they're Muslims. You got to watch out for them. And well, that would almost be the definition of bigotry. All right. So he goes on to say things like this. We must shine a bright light on the role of Muslim Brotherhood and its varied tentacles in the U.S. Okay, go for it, big guy. If there really was Muslim Brotherhood inside the government, I would want to shine a light on it. I would be fascinated by that, and I would be worried about that. There is no such thing. Conservatives have shined as bright a light as they could possibly find, and they can't name a single person. There is no Muslim Brotherhood inside the U.S. government. That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Oh, yeah, they're taking over, and soon they're going to have Sharia law in Oklahoma. Yeah, all right, maybe if you're mental, that makes sense. But these people are paranoid. They're like, the Muslims, watch out, here they come. Oh, Sharia law, Muslim Brotherhood. I'm so scared. More from John Bennett. Our borders are wide open to drug and human traffickers. Terrorism could come to Oklahoma just as easily. Okay. So combining the two issues, Obama's not closing the border, build a wall, build a giant wall. Oh, God damn it, the terrorists are this close to Oklahoma City. Actually, there was a terrorist in Oklahoma City, if you remember, and he was not Muslim. Okay, so now you think, of course, this guy's going to get denounced because this kind of blanket statement against so many Americans is ridiculous, obviously outrageous, right? So Dave Weston, the party chairman for the Republicans in Oklahoma, the party chairman, steps in and regulates. And he says, CARE's request for an apology was disingenuous at best. If we as Americans were ruled by Islam, then Christians and Jews like you and I could only keep practicing our faith if we paid a protection tax. And he says, otherwise we would be killed. So even the Republican chairman in Oklahoma was like, nope. We believe all Muslim Americans are guilty by definition. I wonder why Muslims might not support the Republican Party if they're American citizens here. Can't quite tell. All right. So, by the way, if you said this about Jews, all the Jews are guilty, right? all Jewish Americans by definition are guilty. I'm sure it would go over great. Or if you said it about Christians or almost anyone else. But no one's resigned, no one's apologized, they keep on going. Now, let's go to those holy texts that they talk about. Now, are there places in the Quran where they talk about killing the infidels? Yes, there are. Okay, that's why I don't believe in the religions. I think they're nutty. Okay. Now, on the other hand, did Muhammad say this as well? Yes. Let's take a look. This is a message from Muhammad ibn Abdullah. This is from 1400 years ago, of course, Prophet Muhammad, who started Islam. As a covenant to those who adopt Christianity near and far, we are with them. Verily, I, the servants, the helpers, and my followers defend them, because Christians are my citizens, and by God, I hold out against anything that displeases them. No compulsion is to be on them, neither are their judges to be removed from their jobs, nor their monks from their monasteries. No one is to destroy a house of their religion, to damage it, or to carry anything from it to the Muslims' houses. Should anyone take any of these, he would spoil God's covenant and disobey his prophet. Verily, they are my allies and have my secure charter against all that they hate. No one is to force them to travel or to oblige them to fight. The Muslims are to fight for them. If a female Christian is married to a Muslim, it is not to take place without her approval. She is not to be prevented from visiting her church to pray. Their churches are declared to be protected. They are neither to be prevented from repairing them, nor the sacredness of their covenants. No one of the nation of Muslims is to disobey the covenant till the last day. Now, is that contradictory to another part of the Quran? Yes. Are you surprised by that? If you are, you haven't studied any of the religions. All of the religions are wildly contradictory. But here is a very clear passage from the Prophet Muhammad that says, you must protect the Christians. And so you understand the context of this. Islam considers itself the third book, the Old Testament, the New Testament, then the Quran. So Islam considers all three of those religions to be legitimate, and they are people of the book, okay? And they just feel that Muhammad was the last prophet. They believe that in Jesus Christ. They believe Jesus Christ was a prophet of God, okay? Now, I'm sure knuckleheads like this Bennett guy in Oklahoma has no idea about that. But they do. That's why there are passages in the Quran that says, protect the Christians at all costs. Now, the good Christians in Oklahoma and elsewhere, and certainly in the Republican Party, might say, hey, you know what? At least there's none of that stuff in the Bible. It only talks about good and loving and caring. And are there passages in the Bible where Jesus says protect non-believers? Yes, there are. Now let me read you another passage from the Bible. Go to Deuteronomy 17. If a man or woman living among you in one of the towns the Lord gives you is found doing evil in the eyes of the Lord, your God, in violation of his covenant, and contrary to my command has worshipped other gods, bowing down to them, or to the sun, or the moon, or the stars in the sky, and this has been brought to your attention, then you must investigate it thoroughly. If it is true and it has been proved that this detestable thing has been done in Israel, take the man or woman who has done this evil deed to your city gate and stone that person to death. On the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, a person is to be put to death, but no one is to be put to death on the testimony of only one witness. The hands of the witnesses must be the first in putting that person to death, and then the hands of all the people. You must purge evil from among you. There it is. It's in the Bible. Clear as can possibly be. If you worship to anything other than the God in the Bible, we shall stone you to death. Now, come to find out, I've got all these Christians here in America I got to watch out for. If it's in your Bible, I mean, the fundamentalists tell me we are to take the literal word of God. Every word in the Bible is correct. Now, oftentimes they'll cop out and say, well, I mean, Jesus changed some of changed the Old Testament. Oh, he did. So the Old Testament's not in effect anymore. Jesus changed all that. How about Adam and Eve? That was in the Old Testament. How about Noah? He's in the Old Testament. How about most of your creation myths? They're in the Old Testament. And if we tell you about that creationism is wrong, you go, oh, no way, it's in the Bible, it's in the Bible. It's right there. It says Adam and Eve and Noah and all the things that happened. All Old Testament. Deuteronomy here clearly says, if they pray to anyone but your God, stone them to death. I'm really scared to death about the Christians. By definition, according to Bennett's ideology and apparently the ideology of the entire Republican Party in Oklahoma, based on their chairman, we have to be worried about the Christians. They're all murderers. They're all vicious murderers, and they will kill anyone that does not believe in Christianity. Now, is that really true? Of course not, right? Is it true of 1.6 billion Muslims across the world? Of course not. But you see, you would understand that if you had a brain and you could actually reason like a human being. But if you want to spread bigotry throughout the country and throughout the world, instead you would simplify things and say, oh, I got a piece of text, They're all bad. The Muslims are the bad guys. We got to go get them before they get us. Well, Muslim Americans are not they're not outsiders. They're Americans, just as American as you are. And you don't get to judge them on that. And by the way, you know who decided that? Guys named Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, etc. Our founding fathers. They put it in the Constitution. There should be no religious test for office. You shall have free exercise of religion, not Christianity, of any religion. So if you don't believe in that and you want to discriminate against a particular religion, and as you can tell, I got no love for any of the religions, okay? But I believe in our Constitution. And if you want to discriminate against any of those religions, well then ironically, that makes you un-American.